This is Meltdown Live, presented by MyBookie.ag. Use code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag for double your initial deposit. You sign on to make a deposit, they double it with code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag.
Hello, welcome in. This is the Meltdown. Thank you for being here. It is 2 o'clock Central, and according to my calculations, it is 3 o'clock Eastern. We are doing a live show here on this Monday, and I am so happy to have you along for the ride as we broadcast from the Culver studio right here with Meltdown Live. I am Tim Melton. Joining me here in studio is the one and only E to the G, E.G. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you, Tim?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good.
How was the weekend?
It was fabulous. My favorite weekend of the year, dare I say. Great family time, great company, great weather. I was at the Players Championship in Ponte Vedra, and so I got some good golf in, some sun for the first time this season. I did get a little burnt on my hands for the first time. Never experienced this, but it kind of hurts.
Oh, I
Yeah.
do see it.
Yeah, it's like faint, but it's there.
Yeah, definitely.
All that to say though, wonderful. Made it back, avoided the storms, and cannot wait for next year.
Don't take any offense to this, but it kind of looks like a spray tan gone awry,
Oh,
Tyler, just a little bit.
Oh, maybe like somebody lost a bracket challenge.
Oh, I think Tyler's been in my corner that could be a very fun bracket challenge
I
to have to
liked
pay off.
all of your suggestions.
yeah.
That's very
like
kind.
that's what I put in the group chat. I was like, all of these are great, but this is how I would rank them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think you put the hot dog one first. So for those that don't
Yes.
know,
Absolutely.
over on the next round, they have a bracket punishment for whoever finishes last. Sometimes we've incorporated second place also gets punished, but whoever finishes last has to suffer some horrible punishment. And one of mine was they have to eat as many hot dogs as the last Nathan's hot dog champion ate, which I
Yeah.
believe is 58 hot dogs. No Joey Chestnut this past time around, so they're actually getting off easy.
They are.
And they have to eat those, but it's all within the course of a week on air. And I do think it could be worked out to where for every hot dog not finished, there's maybe some penalty of some
Yeah.
sort,
Mhm.
where there's an additional punishment. But they're given the option. But I keep hearing from this group that there's no humanly possible way to eat that many hot dogs in a week. And
I mean, somebody ate 58 in an hour. We're giving them like, what is that? 15 times the amount
Yeah.
they got.
and they could
Totally doable.
they could dunk them if they wanted to.
It has to be on the show.
Has to be on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's doable. It's challenging, but I think that you just go on a hot dog diet for 5 days, and I think you call it.
Pretty much. Like
Yeah.
you don't eat the rest of the time.
No.
Just eat hot dogs all show.
What would
Works out.
that kind of average? Like you're looking at 12 a show.
12 a show for an hour. Which
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
could do
it's
that.
That's one
like
every
what I
segment.
said was it's painful, but it's doable.
That's one every quarter hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do it.
One every quarter hour.
Different condiments. We could bun included.
Yeah.
You have to do the bun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't make the hot dog squid.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever do that?
No.
No,
Where you split up the hot dog and it looks like a little squid.
so yes, I've done that. I'm not sure I ever called it a squid,
Mm.
but I have done that before.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I think that this could be an option. I don't know
Yeah.
what the qualm is per se.
Well, they don't want to eat hot dogs. That's the main thing.
Uh,
Second thing is they have to go to the Alabama Welcome Center. Everybody keeps asking which one. Don't care. Go to any of them. Go to the Alabama, but it has to be a welcome center. It can't just be a random rest area. It has to be
Yeah.
a welcome center. And they have to welcome people into the state and then strike up conversation with them, interview staff, and they have to stay there 24 hours, completing a lot of social media video objectives along the way. So it's like,
that's incredible.
and they have to stay there. They can't like go get a hotel down the street. They have to like check in and produce a video like every hour or so.
That's incredible.
I think it could work. And then the third one is they have to get a horrendous spray tan before SEC Media Days.
Yeah,
Like they get there. It's in Atlanta this year, right?
it is.
So they have to go to Atlanta, ask EG, hey, where's the nearest spray tan place?
Yeah,
Go down the street, get a just very intense spray tan,
yeah, yeah.
and then appear on camera for SEC Media Days the rest of the week.
So I want to preface that punishment with some industry knowledge of spray tanning. So this is the thing. The spray tans that we're thinking of like the early 2000s, your bright orange, it's evolved slightly. So we would have to tailor this to make it look as bad as we want it to, and I'm totally willing to help with this.
See,
There are ways.
this is a, you ever heard the phrase, Tyler, unleash the Kraken?
Oh yeah.
EG's the Kraken in this situation, where we
Yeah.
would unleash her to make sure she supervises.
For sure.
So that way it's done in good taste.
Of course.
But also, I kind of want them looking like a burnt hot dog a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's the goal we want. There's a scene in Bride Wars, we have unboxed it.
Multiple times.
Multiple times. And Anne Hathaway, who may be appearing on a list later, she gets a horrific spray tan and it's traffic cone orange. That would be the goal. I also would say we need to clothe whoever loses this in very specific attire to highlight
I agree.
said bad spray tan.
I
Yeah,
agree.
on the show we were saying white suit.
You know, I said white suit, and then I hear you're adding things, and I'm like, first of all, we're in the trying to think of a punishment phase, so of course we're adding
Of
things
course.
because that's what this is. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you're adding things now. It's like we haven't even finalized anything.
Like-
Those guys need to watch some Impractical Jokers. You can't refuse the punishment. That's the whole point.
That's
And
the whole point.
and I'm like envisioning they would have to spray tan with the goggles on so they get the raccoon eyes.
Yeah.
You know
Oh,
what I mean?
absolutely.
And let's pull back the curtain a little bit. You know what the original punishment was going to be? I mean, this is the one that got floated out there first. You have to watch 5 movies in a weekend and review each one.
Oh wow.
And I'm like,
Basically, you have to be me.
Oh.
yeah. I'm like, that's not
That's,
a punishment. That's a lifestyle
that is
choice.
a lifestyle choice. But I think a bad spray tan in front of the SEC, that's a punishment.
Oh yeah.
That gets buzz too.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm sure they won't be alone. There'll be another someone there with a bad spray tan, let's be honest. But I think that this could be the start of something great.
It could be, but I worry that it's going to end up being like, oh, you have to get your own mail for 5 days in a row or something. It's going to be like,
Cut your own grass.
yeah, you have to go stay in a nice hotel on the road.
Oh, that was a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I'm worried they're going to figure out a way to weasel themselves out of this. Now, what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to divide us, right?
Mhm.
Oh, well, EG doesn't think this is a good idea,
Yeah.
and Taylor doesn't think this is a good idea, and Scott doesn't think this. And if they divide us, they can get through with anything.
They can, and we don't want that. My suggestion was so last year I actually had to attend both punishments. I don't know if you guys were aware of that. I was the tag along.
Oh yeah, you rode with Brown and you rode
Yeah,
with Dunaway
yeah.
and Taylor.
Yeah. And the one with Brown, like we had a good time. Like we had to drive all the way to Macon and then, deliver the package to our listener. A little awkward, as you can only imagine, as I'm filming it all. But I love the concept of Dunaways and like going around the state of Alabama, having to do all the different gyms because the audience caught on to it. And so like prior to arriving at Alabama, we had people like, hey, this door, may be unlocked, not saying names, or like, at Sanford, like we had to kind of use our connections and resources. So I'm thinking we build off of that. And this year we do, you have to kick an extra point at 7 Division I schools.
Yeah, I don't like it, and
Why?
it's just because last year's is looked at as being weak sauce by almost everybody, and if you continue the trend,
But I don't know. Like, I feel like content-wise, it was so good.
I didn't hate the challenge. I still don't hate it. I just think that everyone, including the panel themselves, has ripped it apart.
That's
So where
true.
if you continue it on, like
Now, the challenge that was done was not the original challenge as well. There was a whole lineup of costumes he was going to have
Yeah,
to
there
change
was.
into, and
Correct.
it was all designed to where it would be very hard for
It-
him to shoot.
yeah,
And then he just ends up going in a TNR shirt he cut the sleeves off of.
I know that this is what I know. The spray tan one makes Jim the most uncomfortable I've ever seen him
For
from a
sure.
challenge standpoint, right? Because
Yes.
that's his nightmare
Yeah.
of like not being able to control his environment at SEC Media Days,
Yeah.
having to be out there on display.
Interacting with people he respects.
Correct.
Oh, man.
I mean, this is gold. I'm telling you, if we can get the movement going, hashtag, this is what I want you to do. In the
Hashtag TNR spray tan.
well, we're not going to make it that complicated.
Okay, well, never mind.
Sorry, Tyler, you're on the right track. I'm saying use this not on social media. Forget social media. Use this in the TNR chat
Okay.
during the live shows. Hashtag spray tan.
Hashtag spray tan.
Hashtag spray tan. That's
Hashtag
it.
spray tan.
Hashtag spray tan.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again throughout the course of the week. And I mean, I know the moderator of the chat, and I feel like I can get this through. I feel like I can pull a favor.
For
Think
sure.
you can?
I'm hoping.
praying.
I'm hoping
We'll see.
hashtag spray tan could work.
It's gonna. I really like this. I mean, I had a spray tan lady in college. She was incredible, and so like I will not be referring Dunaway to her because she does great spray tans. But like, there are ways that we can really do this well, and I want to be a part of this.
Now, hear me out. Dunaway dreads the spray tan. Lance dreads the hot dogs. Okay?
Please,
Like, he
1 and
won't,
2.
I think he wants to do the spray tan almost.
Yeah,
Lance?
Yeah.
he's excited about it. Every time we throw out a challenge, there's one that's like kind of wild, but
Yeah.
Lance is like very down to do. And I think we kind of need to tailor these
Yeah.
challenges to who it is.
Here's my thing, though. I don't know how much time we're going to spend on this, but like in July, people are tanning. They're out in the sun a lot.
hmm
I wish this was like a winter challenge because it would be way more obvious. Because Dunaway and Lance, they both get pretty tan.
The thing that makes it beautiful at SEC Media Days is definitely not that it's in the summer months, because you're right.
Yeah.
It doesn't stand out nearly as much. But it is the fact that it is at the most high profile
It
event
is.
of the year.
It
where We
is.
do week-long coverage, in-depth meeting with everybody that's a who's who in the college football world. And if Dunaway has to sit there looking like an Oscar Mayer wiener, I'm telling you, it's gonna be gold. It's
It-
gonna be gold. The only
yeah.
It's gonna be gold.
the only thing that would make it even better is if for some reason Nick Saban came off of his media panel and decided he was going to give an interview for a couple minutes, and like Dunaway had to do that in front of him and like was mortified the whole time. It would be gold. Also, we need Dunaway to lose the challenge.
Right. We have a lot of factors that have to contribute to this, but hashtag spray tan will get it going.
Hashtag spray tan in the TNR chat.
Yeah, some of these are dependent on who loses because like the movie challenge initially like going with me to cover all the movies I do in like a week or 2 weeks or whatever, that would be a good punishment for Brown
Yeah,
because like I drag him to like some anime movies
Totally.
and some foreign films and everything else.
I agree.
But like the other ones I think are less of a punishment for him.
Tyler, the panel gets away with going after us for creating too tough a challenge while also going after us for creating too weak a challenge.
Right.
Yes.
So they have it both ways.
And they also get the ability to veto the challenges altogether and just
Yeah.
be like, "Oh no, we're not doing that."
Yeah. So
Like Brown still owes the Uber challenge. He hasn't done it. I'll throw him under the bus right now.
I feel like we have to be unified in our approach.
We do. We need some
Yeah.
integrity in these challenges.
And
Otherwise, what's the point?
if we get the audience behind us as well, like the back room is one thing that they can override. They can't override the back room with the audience. Like together,
Mhm.
I'm telling you,
Unstoppable.
we can make it hashtag spray tan tomorrow as much as you can there in the TNR chat to a reasonable doubt. I mean, a reasonable
right.
benefit. Okay. I'm not going to put Tyler in a situation where he has to make a content decision, but like, every half hour, throw,
3 or 4,
7
7, 9.
in there.
Yeah,
10,
don't
20.
spam to where like other conversations can't happen.
Yes.
I don't like to
Thank
see
you.
that.
Thank you. Hey, how about this? We didn't coordinate our colors today. We're all wearing a shade of green.
Why is that, I wonder?
I think Tyler and I are pretty
We're like pretty even.
pretty in
like,
sync.
We got
Shade-wise,
like
yeah.
that Kelly green look to us.
You have more of a forest green, is that fair?
Yeah, hunter green.
I was gonna say hunter, but then I was like, well, who works in the forest more than anybody? The hunter. So I'm gonna go forest green.
Sure. Yeah, same thing.
What's the difference between forest and hunter green? I do want to know.
Hunter green has more of like a bluish navy tint to it, whereas forest green is like a true green undertone of brown, red.
Meanwhile, Hunter Bussy Green is black and blue because I'm gonna beat him in poker tonight.
Yeah.
How was that?
So good.
Wow.
Woo!
That was awful. I'll be honest, that was awful.
Yeah.
I consider Hunter a friend until he starts throwing out fantasy casting, and then I don't know the kid.
Yeah.
Tyler, the Leprechaun movies are playing all day for St. Patrick's Day on the Sci-Fi Network. Is this enough to get you to tune in to the Sci-Fi Network today?
I might actually do it.
What random Leprechaun movie do you hope is on when you tune in? Because I think we all know the answer.
Well, we all know it's a Leprechaun in the Hood.
That's exactly
Yeah.
where I
It's
was
even
going.
EG approved.
I know. Weirdly enough, I've seen it, and I still question my life choices that led me to that moment. But it was in middle school, early high school.
Makes no sense to me.
I think what it was that is my friend wanted to watch a scary movie, and I was like, "Well, I'll go home." Like I pulled that card. Like I'm not watching a scary movie, and she was like, "Well, okay, let's find like a funny scary movie," and we landed on that one.
Okay. Y'all could have just watched the actual movie Scary Movie, which is a funny, scary movie.
Scary
Really?
movie's great.
Scary Movie is a funny movie.
Okay.
There you go. Let me tell you how I spent the weekend. First of all, weather coverage dominated.
Yeah.
Like Friday night, I was monitoring while my family slept, and then Saturday, I monitored as much as I possibly could. We were basically packed up and ready to go to a storm shelter at any point. We didn't have to, but there are individuals south of Birmingham that have their lives turned upside down. And, our thoughts are with those individuals for sure that have had the worst, property damage imaginable. Lives were lost in this storm. I mean, it was a real deal this past weekend. And, overall, my weekend was consumed with keeping up with the weather, much like a lot of other people who had to go to their safe places and all of that. How'd you guys do with the weather? I know, EG, you were in the state of Georgia.
Florida.
Oh, sorry, you were in the state of Florida,
Yeah.
but you probably were keeping up at least with what
Yes.
was going on back at home.
Yeah. So we were in Florida Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday, and then Sunday morning. And so we were trying to time it to get back and avoid a lot of the storms. And so we were able to do that. My brother and sister in law, they actually left at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Granted, my niece wouldn't go to sleep, but then they also were like, let's just go ahead and go because it was basically running parallel to I-95, and that's the road that we have to take back to Atlanta. And so it ended up the players tournament was delayed for 4.5 hours yesterday because the tail end of it went through Ponte Vedra. So we were keeping up with it for sure. And then obviously with everyone in Nashville and here in Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, it was pretty daunting and the radar just looked awful. I did hear that at least in this area, the worst was avoided, but for a lot of places, like you mentioned, that wasn't the case. And so whenever these weather events happen, it's so scary because there's a lot of unknowns that come with it that
Yeah.
obviously you prepare as much as you can, but at the end of the day, you don't exactly know what you're in for.
You're exactly right. Tyler, were you able to have some sort of a normal weekend?
Yeah, Friday I went home and for the first time in forever, I just took a nap. I
Good.
I was out for like a solid 2.5 hours. I think I needed it. But then I woke up and I started flipping through Amazon Prime looking for something to watch, and HBO Max is also on my Prime account, and I scroll past True Detective. And it's been recommended to me so many times. It's gotten all this critical acclaim. I thought I'll watch it. I started it, and I did not stop watching it until I finished the first season because
Yeah.
it was just everything I wanted in a detective show.
Yeah, no, it's very strong, and there's a big drop off between season 1 and season 2, but I think there's a lot of people that like season 3. A lot of people have given a lot of acclaim to season 4 with Jodie Foster, and it's one of these that's sort of like an anthology
Yeah.
series, so there's not a lot of ton
My,
of crossover.
my only critique is I really didn't care to see as much of Woody Harrelson's affairs as you do in that show. I was just like, come on, get back to the murders. That's what I'm interested in here.
You
I
are correct.
I don't want to see Woody Harrelson cheat on his wife every other episode.
Yeah, Woody Harrelson having to put his belt back on was like half of the series.
Yes, I mean it really was. So I watched that Friday night into Saturday morning, and then Saturday ran some errands and went to go see the new Looney Tunes movie before the storm
Nice.
got insane.
I'm going to get more of your thoughts on that coming up because we do have a box office report ahead. It's a little bit of a bleak one, trying not to sound alarmist, but let's just say the top movie in the country made $8.7 million. And that was at the top of the box office. Everything below that made obviously less, and a lot of things took a loss. And we'll get into it here in just a second. I watched a documentary called The Ultimate Stack. It was a poker documentary from
Oh.
2024 on YouTube. It's like 90 minutes long, and it is fantastic. The production quality of this documentary is really, really good. What it does is it follows someone who won their way into a high roller tournament, basically. Say high roller tournament, a very prominent tournament in Las Vegas at the Wynn, I believe. And it follows them until they get beaten, and then you pick up with the next person. And then when that person's defeated, it picks up with like whoever
Mhm.
beat them until eventually you get to the top player who wins the whole thing. So it's a really neat way of showing poker, which I'm obsessed with watching on TV. I will watch almost any poker tournament that's recommended to me by YouTube or that's on traditional cable. And I really enjoyed that documentary. It's free to watch. It's called The Ultimate Stack, a poker documentary from 2024. It's on YouTube. Check it out if you are a poker aficionado. We have a game tonight, EG. We brought up
do.
what I plan to do to Hunter Bussey, which is crush him.
Yeah.
But someone's going to get paid a lot of money tonight. It's a secret KO night. Somebody's name's going to go into the bank, and we don't know whose it is until the very end of the game, and then that person's going to win a jackpot that knocked that person out. Would you like for your name to be pulled? I mean, I would like to control my own fate.
Yeah, I know. We talked about this last week. I don't know. I go back and forth. I don't think I would.
No? Just
No,
then you would feel like if you don't cash in on it,
Yeah.
that you failed.
I
even
failed.
more.
I kind of want to be the hunter, not the hunted.
Yeah, well, no one's going to want to be Hunter tonight because I'm going to destroy him at the poker table.
Um,
Okay. I also watched a family movie night.
Yeah.
We watched Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl,
Great choice.
2003. And that's really what I'm trying to do now that I feel like the box office currently is sort of a dead zone, is I'm trying to go back and introduce my daughter to a lot of the big tentpole movies, live action, preferably, to try to get her intrigued. And she seems to love this one, The Curse of the Black Pearl.
Good.
She has ridden Pirates of the Caribbean before at Disney World. It was her first ride she ever went on. So she's familiar with the ride, but she wasn't familiar with the movie. And I think the ride's becoming more special. And obviously she's really a big fan of the movie.
Good.
But I don't have the heart to tell her that all the movies are worse after this one.
Yeah.
Because I think it's just such a top heavy franchise.
I've only seen the first 3 because after that I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't care to see anymore. If I ever want to revisit this world, I'll just watch Curse of the Black Pearl.
Yeah, I mean, narratively, they get more and more disappointing as they go on. Visually, though, they get more and more spectacular.
Mm.
So it's like if you are someone who craves a visual presentation that just like some of the Davy Jones stuff with like the tentacles,
Yeah. The piano when he plays.
it still looks
Mhm.
incredible. Now, none of that's there in the first one. The first one still looks pretty good for what it is, but it builds visually and it sort of sours narratively over the course of the franchise. But big fan of that 2003 movie. It is a property that needs to have life brought back to it. I don't know how Disney plans to do that.
I've heard Disney is backing up the Brinks truck to Johnny Depp.
Oh.
And have you also heard Johnny Depp says there's no amount of money that would get me to work with him again?
Really?
I've heard that too, and then I've heard some rumors that it's that they're patching things up, but we'll see. We'll
Huh.
see. Because I think that the female-led Pirates movie is kind of dead in the water. No pun intended. I'm sorry. It walked the plank.
When it comes to that joke, yar, she blows.
Mhm.
Okay. Anyway, let's get to our main topic today, and that is we know who's going to be hosting the Oscars next year. Familiar face, same person who hosted the Oscars this year, and we're thrilled about this one. Conan O'Brien announced as the host of the 2026 Oscar television program. It'll be 2025 movies that are discussed there. The 98th Oscars are set for March 15th, 2026, so a little less than a year away. O'Brien said in a statement, quote, "The only reason I'm hosting the Oscars next year is that I want to hear Adrian Brody finish his speech."
Oh, wow.
Which I feel like
That's pretty funny.
that's a pretty good line.
That is.
But like the fact that we now have a full like year and a half of like knowing that Conan was going to be the Oscar host this time, and now he's got a full year to sort of tease being the Oscar host this coming up time. It's a no-brainer there for the Oscars, who's been in constant search of someone that is, I would say, someone that is like fills the appetite of middle America, coast to coast, someone who's well liked, someone who's not controversial, someone who can go up there and deliver some zingers while also seeming warm hearted. And Conan's that perfect choice.
Yeah.
And they've locked him in. They also knocked in. They also locked up Nikki Glazer. We brought this up on Friday to come back for the Golden Globes. So same two hosts of these programs. These are the two most prominent movie television award shows in the Golden Globes, which sort of kicks off award season, and the Oscars, which ends it. So it'll be bookended by the same two people. I'm excited about both of these announcements, Tyler.
Yes, both of them did a fantastic job with the last Golden Globes and the last Oscars. Um, I think they should just make it their permanent job, like just be the Ryan Seacrest of this sort of endeavor. Um, Neither one of them, like you said, are very controversial, very divisive. So I think it's the perfect choice when the Oscars keep reporting lower and lower viewership numbers. Same with the Golden Globes, and it feels like that split between ivory tower critics and the middle America common man has never been wider.
This year, initial numbers for the Oscars, they actually ticked up once they took into account all streams and social buzz. The 97th Oscars, held earlier this month, delivered the highest viewership numbers in 5 years when they put everything together. The broadcast drew 19.69 million viewers and had a dominant presence on social media, racking up 104.2 million interactions, surpassing both the Grammys and the Super Bowl in online engagement. So, not too shabby there to see a lot of engagement, but that is how things are having to be judged these days, right?
Right.
Overall engagement instead of just the traditional sort of view of what the telecast provides. I was very frustrated with Hulu's presentation of the Oscars. They had promoted that the Oscars are going to be on Hulu. You can jump on there and watch it. And Hulu cut them off early. It froze up. You couldn't rewind. So if you missed something, like, it was a nightmare watching it on Hulu for me personally, having a child on a Sunday night that I'm trying to get ready for, school the next day and
Yeah.
everything. And like, I need to have that flexibility of being
Yeah.
able to come back and forth to the telecast. And Hulu did me no favors with that. So Hulu, get better when it comes to broadcasting the Oscars,
Yeah,
please.
I've never liked Hulu Live. I was on YouTube TV watching Oscars this past time.
I think so much of a better option as long as you're okay with that recent price hike that seemed to upset a lot of people.
Yeah, it's not my account, so I'm okay with it.
There we go. Please, YouTube, don't shut down Tyler. He's just trying to make it. All right, here we go.
I'm just a boy.
Exactly. For some reason, I have Bohemian Rhapsody playing in my head. I don't know why.
Hmm.
Okay, we're going to go to this to commemorate the 25th anniversary of Final Destination. Variety sat down and spoke with key members of the film's creative team and several actors who helped bring the franchise to life. Final Destination started as a spec script for which TV show? Do you guys know?
Lost.
No.
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
Final Destination started as a spec script for which TV show before it eventually turned into a movie franchise. But it was supposed to be like a episode of this show.
Oh.
And then they
Grey's
said
Anatomy.
Lost was not a bad guess. Grey's Anatomy, no. No. What, Grey's Anatomy?
Isn't there a lot of brutal deaths in this? So like maybe the doctor, they have to help them.
Maybe. I mean, no, it's
I'm
not.
just
Grey's
imagining
Anatomy.
like the light in the surgery operating room just crashing down onto the incision.
I mean, honestly, Grey's Anatomy got so convoluted with the plot. Meredith Grey had to have her hand inside this man's body cavity holding a bomb.
I mean, I get that, but it's a doctor hookup show at the end of the day. I mean, it's like doctors and nurses hooking up. That's what the show
Yeah,
is.
so that's what hooks you. And then it's like it diverts and it's like not fun anymore.
Yeah.
It's like really traumatic actually, and a lot of just ugh.
Anyway, no, it's not Grey's Anatomy. I'm sorry.
Or Lost.
Or Lost. You're sticking with those ABC shows. I like it.
Yeah, not Survivor, obviously.
No, definitely not a reality. You're getting worse somehow. Keep going.
Get your nightmares.
Pretty Little Liars. That would be too late.
No.
That's
I'm
CW, I
gonna
think.
go with the Friday the 13th
Desperate
series.
Housewives.
No. The X-Files. This was originally supposed to be
Interesting.
originally supposed to be a script written for the X-Files. It turned into its own production there.
Well, no wonder it didn't fit in the X-Files. There's no aliens.
There you go. This is what director James Wong had to say, quote, "The problem with the Final Destination movies is that the beginning set piece was always so much bigger and better and more exciting almost than anything else that followed, so it became a real challenge to top yourself with each set piece."
Interesting.
Now, while I agree with the director there in his take, Tyler, you've said this. I think I've heard this from a multitude of people.
Mm-hmm.
This has changed the way this series has changed the way we drive around log trucks.
I'd said it this morning.
Yeah, it's true with everybody. It's almost impossible not to see a log truck and not think of Final Destination.
Correct. That log just coming out of the back of the truck, going in through the windshield. Yeah, no, I'm changing lanes real quick.
Which one was that? 3?
Was it 3? I thought it was the first one.
Was it the first one?
It might have been. Let me double check on that.
I thought it was a sequel.
I've never seen Final Destination. However, I know about that and the log truck, and I also know about the tanning bed thing.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
the tanning bed one was rough.
What, did it just closed on her?
Yeah, she got stuck in there and then it started to heat up to where she couldn't
Oh.
adjust
Final
the
Destination 2.
2, so we
Split
hedged there.
split the difference.
Yikes.
Wow. That's why spray tans are safe.
They are.
You know?
And preventative for skin cancer. Tanning beds are awful, people, but they do sometimes help with seasonal depression. So if your doctor's prescribed that, then listen to your doctor, not me.
There we
I think I'd be pretty depressed if I got skin cancer, though.
Yeah.
go. If we can, I want to talk about my final dental nation,
There you go.
which is
That was
these are the
something.
last dentists that I need in my life. And that is the dentist over on Grants Mill Road, Dr. Jeff, Dr. Brian, and Dr. Nolan over at Alabama Dental Associates. Guess what, guys? They're going to provide you with all sorts of services when it comes to staying on top of your dental health. It's a very important thing. Gum health is overall health. It's amazing how much it's linked. Do the research yourself and figure out that you need to end up in a chair over there at Alabama Dental Associates. They're going to help you. And let me tell you, as a 7-foot giant, comfortable dental chairs.
Good.
Now, do I have to move my legs occasionally so they can move the equipment by? And do they then sort of giggle and laugh underneath their mask? A little bit. But you know what? That's to be expected. Over at Alabama Dental Associates, they are a good group of people, and you're going to feel like you're almost part of the team. You're not going to want to leave until they force you to leave, which is what they've done to me multiple times. Sir, you can't be behind the counter. I go, but I love this place so much. They go, you must go home or we're going to call the police. That's Alabama Dental Associates. They are my friends. They can be your friends too. They're accepting new patients now and can help you feel at ease about all of your upcoming dental procedures. Go ahead and give them a call, 205 956 8977. What's that number, Tim? You went too fast. Okay, 205 956 8977, or visit alabamadental.com where they look forward to seeing you. Okay, next up, we got to get into some smut. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
This is the part of the show that I'm not looking forward to.
Okay.
This is the part I'm not looking forward to. This is where it gets a little bit like, oh, we got to talk about this. Unfortunately, we do.
We
Okay.
talking about Honora?
We're not talking about Honora, which, by the way, debuts on streaming this week.
Yep, on
Honora
Hulu.
does on Hulu. There's a lot of things that debut this week. Last Breath goes to digital tomorrow, and then this is a big one. Wicked unleashes on Peacock Friday. Now think about this.
Both the regular version and the sing-along.
If you are debating whether or not to go see Snow White this weekend, or you could just stay at home with the kids and watch Wicked for the first time, or the 17th time, a lot of families are going to be choosing to stay at home and
Yeah.
watch Wicked.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a
so
great
much
point.
easier. And that's going to take a little bit of a bite out of the apple of
That's
Snow
pretty
White.
good.
You like
I
that?
like that. That's good.
Thank you, EG.
Welcome.
I can always tell when you're telling the truth because you don't close your mouth after saying it's good. Because you're like,
I'm like,
that's good.
that's
And then you leave your mouth open,
Oh.
and I'm like, okay, she really does think that.
okay.
It's also a poker tell,
I'll
so watch out.
keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Golly.
Anyway, this
That-
has nothing to do with any of that, but Universal Music Group has filed a scathing motion to dismiss Drake's New York lawsuit against them for promoting Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us, stating that he's only suing because he lost a rap battle and took legal action to salve his wounds.
Wow.
So, Tyler, you've been following this one pretty close. Kendrick Lamar, obviously, on the upswing here in the country, especially after the Super Bowl halftime act. It was one of the biggest jokes at the Oscars, with Conan O'Brien halfway through saying this is normally when Kendrick Lamar comes out and accuses Drake of XYZ. We're not going to say EG.
E.g.
EG, we're not going to say it this time.
Sorry.
So, what do you make of this? Universal fighting fire with fire, saying, get this lawsuit out of here.
So, I am, I guess, Team Kendrick in this sort of feud as much as the next guy. But if we're being 100% honest, Drake's not wrong when he's talking about Universal Music Group. They botted Kendrick's streams for Not Like Us. They did it for the song Luther with SZA. They did it for Drake. And all this is coming to bite Drake now because it's towards the end of Drake's deal with Universal.
Mm.
Now, he's in a 360 deal with Universal, and he's looking to get out of that. So that's my
Mission accomplished.
yeah, he's looking to get out of that. So I think that's part of why this lawsuit's happening. And Drake has also accused Universal of taking the profits that they've gotten from Drake releases, because he is one of the top streaming artists in the world, and using it for Kendrick Lamar material. either using it to finance his GNX album, finance tours, or music videos, etc. So basically, Drake sees it as like any punch he throws in this battle is just going to come right back at him with the money he makes from it.
Do you feel like the battle is over?
Pretty much, yeah. It's peaked. Like there might be more little shots here and there, but I think everybody's just gonna go back to doing their own thing. Yeah, that being said, Drake's gonna lose the lawsuit because he's going up against one of the biggest record labels in the world. But it doesn't necessarily mean he's wrong. This is a case of like, man, I hate that guy is the one bringing this to the table.
I'm willing to bet that Universal Music Group has some great lawyers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is just a case of Drake is bringing it up because he lost the rap battle, but he's also not wrong. He's
So
not lying.
I talked about how I hate this segment of the show. So far, I mean, you guys have done wonderful. It's not that I didn't think you guys would be prepared. It's that I just these conversations have gone on for a long time,
Yeah.
and we've got another chapter. And EG, now it's your time to shine. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
The ongoing Blake Lively, Justice
Oh.
Aldoni
Here we go.
legal
All right.
saga. You guys see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I'm tired of these stories,
Yeah.
but we got to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's the subject of a swiftly made documentary from ITN Productions.
Oh.
The documentary is called He Said, She Said.
We don't need a documentary for everything. I'm gonna be so honest.
It will premiere in the UK on Channel 5 tonight,
Oh,
and then in the US on Investigation Discovery on March 31st.
first of all, who is giving them information, interviews, or access to this?
I think it's going to
People
be
who want money and attention from this situation.
I think it's going to be a lot of narration over stills. I think
Yes,
that's what it's
it's gonna be TikTok. It's gonna be social media. Like, there's no way that they could put this together so quickly, pay for it and fund it, and then push it out on Channel 5.
like red carpet footage. It's going to be
Yeah,
like
it's
stock footage of them
it won't be anything.
in the general same sort of locations
And
without being near each other.
some random person. Did you guys ever watch those like historical documentaries in like history class? And it was always these British people that like acted like they just knew the royal family. They were so close to them and they always had the same cadence in their voice. It's going to be that same thing.
Mm,
And it's going to be just, we don't need a documentary. It's still ongoing too.
it is. This is not like a open and shut.
And that's like how, okay, did you guys follow the Idaho 4 case at all when it happened? This was now, golly, almost 3 years ago.
Yes.
So to catch people up if you weren't aware of this, I guess in 2022, a masked man entered this college party house and brutally murdered 4 college kids. It was crazy. And obviously being in a college town at the time, it freaked everyone out. And they finally caught the guy, supposedly, but the trial has taken forever. There's been, rumors of a mistrial because they had to move the trial location because of the jury, etc. So many documentaries have come out about this already, except it hasn't even gone to trial. They're not even entirely sure this is the guy that did it.
I believe his name is Brian Koberger.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And he's been accused, and they were able to link him to the murders
Yeah.
through a knife sheath
That
that
was
is like their
left.
biggest. It's like a button on the knife sheath
Yeah.
that is their biggest piece of evidence, and they're going to have to prove once again through science that that's his DNA.
To me, it feels very O.J. Simpson. Like, I would not be the evidence for this man is astounding based on his search history, where his phone pinged, all of these things. But for some reason, I just feel like he's gonna get off.
Well,
Like,
I am not as confident of that.
really?
Yeah, OJ had celebrity working
That's
for him.
true. That's true.
And he had charm working for him. Brian Koberger is
It's none
neither
of
a
those.
celebrity and neither charming,
No.
from what we can tell.
I mean, you look at Casey Anthony, who's trending again. I mean, that was crazy too.
That's true. I was in CNN taking a VIP tour when that happened,
Really?
Oh,
and
Oh my
I
gosh.
got my money's worth. Because
Huh.
he did.
let me tell you, that was super memorable. Because we just, we were in Atlanta, bought a ticket that day just because I wanted to go. I was a broadcast major and wanted to go see the operations of CNN, and I bought the VIP pass, which takes you further behind into the control room and all that.
Yeah.
Well, they announced the Casey Anthony verdict is
No
in. And let me tell you,
Man.
people are pushing us out of the way. They're running. They got Nancy Grace on
I was
live
about to
feed.
say, was Nancy Grace there?
Nancy Grace was on location at the
Yeah.
courthouse, but they had I was watching the off-air live
No
feed
way.
of them communicating with her and her talking off air, which nobody's ever seen except for me and the producers in that room.
Top mom Casey Anthony.
But I was like, I can never buy this tour again because it's never going to be this good.
No.
But and then they brought us into a special theater as a tour group to watch the verdict live
Oh,
because we were
wow.
like in the way of the producers. Tyler, imagine this, okay? You're going through the Nick Saban is stepping away from the Crimson Tide again breaking news that was the biggest breaking news we've covered here in the history of this platform. And you have a group full of tourists with like cameras and
Oh
stuff,
my God.
like monitoring you break the news. It was very odd to have a scheduled time. We're going through the tour, and then that
That
just
happens.
hits.
Oh yeah. Like
And
when I
then-
did the VIP tour, like during a school field trip, it was maybe like 2016, 2017. So like nothing that crazy was going on. It was just Jake Tapper was doing his show when we
Yeah.
walked through.
Yeah,
I've
But
never
it
been
was
there.
pretty chill.
yeah. No,
Weirdly enough,
you've never
never gone to this. Never.
Wow.
No, that's
oh.
on a field trip for us, and I'm from Atlanta.
wow.
I would think that would like definitely be a field trip just because of like cost wise getting there. Like
Let's be
he had to
real.
pay a crazy amount to do.
This is the crazy thing, right? Tyler, you and I have done more touristy Atlanta things than EG has because EG lives there, right? And we have gone over there as tourists to do all the tourist things. So that
Yeah.
would make sense.
Have you
Yeah.
been to the Coke
Oh, of
Museum?
course. Yeah.
Okay.
World of Coke, that was a mainstay. The aquarium, Publix. We did a Publix field trip every year. Pretty awesome in elementary school.
Ever been to a Braves game?
No, actually.
Okay. Well, the Pennant Race returns tomorrow. You're going to want to see that 12:15 tomorrow, right?
Yes, Yep.
Live on the
show.
Disrupt Media channel. So subscribe there if you haven't already. It is linked here as one of our featured channels. Okay. Let's continue on. Oh, I hate this. This is the last one I hate. Federal criminal charges and civil lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs
Mm.
are the focus of a new podcast series from ABC News. Bad Rap, the case against Diddy, will premiere Tuesday, March 25th, so a week and a day away.
What a
Gosh,
bad name.
I hate the name.
I do
I
too.
hate it.
That
I hate it. I'm waiting on 50 Cent's documentary to come out. One, because that guy's had a grudge against Diddy for 20 years. And two, he already announced the name would be called Did He Do It?
that's even
I'm saying
worse.
when 50 Cent ever has a documentary release, I'm probably going to watch about, I don't know, 2/4 of it.
Nice. Good. I like that.
Closed your mouth that time, which means you don't
This
like it.
guy.
You don't like it.
Um, yeah, I don't. To me, with this situation, like real lives were involved in this, potentially children, and like the podcast again. It's kind of similar to the Blake Lively drama. I don't know if we need to be analyzing it from that angle and like making money off of it, and then trying to come up with catchy names for it. I don't know. I just have a little bit of an issue with that one.
Saybear a couple of minutes ago doubted me and say, how is this smut? I was expecting late night Cinemax and Nora level of discussion. I mean, anytime you bring Diddy into the discussion, it starts to
Yeah.
get like we started to trend
We
further
did.
that way.
We
That's all
did.
I'm saying. Okay, but we didn't get into the details of Bad Rap, the case against Diddy, which you can listen to as a podcast starting a week and a day from now, which once again has no conclusion again.
Yeah.
Doing this thing where we're putting out all of this and what's the point? We don't even know the
Did
result.
you see some related Diddy news? Kanye West came out recently.
Oh, God.
Yeah, exactly.
That,
Yeah.
Just that line right there makes me nervous.
He announced he's got a new song dropping, and on it he's gonna have Diddy's son, as well as his daughter, Northwest.
Oh Lord.
So naturally, Kim messages him and says, like, yeah, that's not happening. I own the trademark to all our kids' names as we agreed upon before they were born. And then Kanye accused her of like trying to, manipulate the situation, whatever, and says like, oh, well, we can go to war then. So be on the lookout for more updates to that story.
Great.
Because he's just not satisfied until he destroys every bridge he has and every ounce of career he has.
Well, we'll see what happens with all of that and keep you up to date with the latest with all of these legal issues that are going on. Let's look at the box office. Doesn't get much prettier here as Jack Quaid's action comedy Novocaine topped a painfully slow weekend at the box office with $8.7 million to rank as one of the worst debuts to still capture the number one spot. Now it's not really a shot at Novocaine. It's a shot at the field.
Mm-hmm.
Like the field is so weak right now that
No
something like
competition.
Novocaine can come in and win the weekend. And I don't know what this means for Jack Quaid, because normally when you open a movie number one, especially as a youthful talent like him, it means something significant.
Mhm.
But I don't think anybody's looking at this as some
No.
sort of significant box office achievement, because almost everything that's a part of the top 10 is set to lose money. $100 million plus loss for Mickey 17 is expected. A 200 million plus loss is expected for Captain America Brave New World.
Holy cow.
Um, Looney Tunes, a movie that I've heard great things about. Warner Brothers didn't even distribute, they sold off. And now Warner Brothers has taken the original Looney Tunes animated shorts, which ran during 1930 to 1969, and has taken them completely off of Max, scrubbed them completely, which is another reminder that if there's something out there you love, own a physical copy of it.
Mhm.
Because at any point, some sort of rights dictator can come in and remove them from that streaming service where you think they're going to be housed forever while refusing to sell them off. Tyler, what's your takeaway from not only the top 10 this past weekend, which is abysmal, but also with the Looney Tunes news?
So with the top 10 this week, you're right. The field was just weak. Novocaine is like a really strong FCS team. Like
Oh,
does
Tyler with
oh
the
yeah,
sports
yeah, there we go.
reference.
Does
Whoa.
really great against its own competition of its own ilk. Like Novocaine versus Black Bag. Novocaine wins. You put any movie that had any level of hype behind it out that same weekend, you even move up Snow White a
Oh,
week,
yeah.
like, it gets crushed. So, I think it's a strong contender, but it's a different division.
Yeah, that's completely fair. Mickey 17 is a movie that continues to lose steam, over a 60% drop. Now, I just think Warner Brothers, which is my favorite studio, by the way. I'm a
I didn't
big
know that
Warner
one.
Brothers fan.
Same here.
My favorite distributor, studio, etc. There's something that's a little bit, it looks like suspect, because they say that Mickey 17 came in the second spot because it made $10,000 more than Black Bag. And I just don't necessarily buy that that number is going to hold once the actuals hit and we start to look further into the receipts. Because for a movie to make $10,000 more than the third spot and it have
Mhm.
that much of a dramatic fall from grace, like Mickey 17 has had week over week, I just think it's meant to save face and try to keep any sort of momentum they can to get people to go buy tickets to this Bong Joon-ho film that narratively, when we run through it, Tyler, in our sort of spoiler talk behind the scenes, the movie doesn't completely make sense to us.
No, it doesn't, and Warner Brothers really has to save face because they've been on a run of losing money lately, and a lot of industry insiders are wondering if they've completely lost their fastball, if they can even make consistently good movies anymore, regardless of budget.
Yeah.
Um, it's just getting more difficult and difficult to support Warner Brothers. I do think there's some shady shenanigans going on with the numbers. Um, but that's no surprise coming from the company that likes to scrap already finished movies
That's
to
also
try
true.
and save money. We saw it with Coyote versus Acme, Batgirl, um, the the day the Earth blew up that came out this weekend. The only reason that's out is because a no name called Catch Up Entertainment picked it up
Oh.
for very cheap,
Mhm.
and they'll make a lot of money on it, but Warner Brothers still probably lost a lot of money on it because they just sold the rights off and still had to pay for the entire production.
I heard a report that that movie, The Day the Earth Blew Up, has already been streaming. Is that correct? Have you heard anything about that? Like it's already
No,
been,
it was at film festivals.
so it hasn't been available for digital purchase
N-
anywhere.
Not to my knowledge, I have
Okay.
not seen it anywhere like
Okay.
that.
Well, I'll look further into that. But Warner Brothers, are the Dallas Mavericks film studios right now.
No.
They had Luca on freaking roster and they gave him away for nothing. And that's what Warner Brothers did with Christopher Nolan. I mean, the biggest draw as a director in cinema today, and they let him get away
It's awful.
off their roster because they didn't treat him right. And you just can't let that happen. And they know they screwed up. The question is, how long will it take for my Dallas Mavericks to admit that they completely screwed up? Because now they don't even hardly have enough players to field a roster. They're maybe going to have to forfeit games before the
Wow.
season is done. That's how bad things have gotten there for Dallas.
Wow.
Anyway, it's painful for me as a Warner Brothers fan. It's painful for me as a Dallas Mavericks fan. It's painful for me as a UAB fan. Didn't clinch the deal yesterday against the Memphis Tigers. Memphis has owned us all season long. That's 3 wins for Memphis, 0 for UAB in that head-to-head. UAB absolutely had to have it yesterday, and they were left out of the NCAA tournament field. Are you excited about the madness that this month brings?
I am. I love it. I also have a connection to March Madness as my dad actually played in it back in the day. And so it's just fun. I feel like the brackets are always a great time. And I love the Cinderella stories that come out of this. When I was younger, I always would hear about the Cinderella stories that March Madness brings, and Cinderella was my favorite princess. And so I really was like thinking I would see like Cinderella when I would tune in with my dad and stuff. Didn't, shocker. But yeah, it's a fun month, and from obviously a sports perspective, covering the SEC, it's historic. 14 bids, 13 bids, 14 bids, 14 out of the 16 teams in the league.
That
And
is correct.
so it's just really it's special. It's fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a very exciting time for everyone to see their brackets eventually go up in flames
Yep.
because this feels like a top-heavy year.
It does.
But that only means it's going to be that much more painful when a heavy favorite loses.
And that's what makes it so unique. And I think that a lot of people would agree that this tournament setup is the best in sports.
Oh, yeah.
You can't beat it.
Best postseason.
But yeah,
Not the best regular season, but definitely the best postseason.
best postseason for sure. Love
know.
it. Baseball, some people like college baseball postseason. I do really like the College World Series, but this you can't really top.
Tyler, you have a chat check-in for us?
Saybear says Memphis has won 23 of the last 25 in this
Yeah.
rivalry.
Yeah.
So
No,
I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
yeah, I've lived it, and it's been abysmal, and it's horrible talking with UAB fans that feel like we have an edge on Memphis hardly in any way, basketball or football at this point. For a hot minute there, football was able to get their act together, but no, I've camped out for UAB Memphis games before, only to then
That's
Ouch.
so sad.
only to then have my heart broken because they're never like complete blowouts. Really, it's always like UAB has a puncher's chance, and then they lose by 10 late. It's like, what is going on? Why did we
Yeah.
fall into this? Okay, let's continue on. Disney's Snow White. We've talked about it a couple times already. These are the early reviews.
I'm curious. Because wait, wasn't there industry term an embargo on these? Or
For full reviews, yes. There is an embargo until Wednesday.
These are social media reactions, which I
Oh.
believe are allowed.
Okay.
So, like, full reviews are not, but social media reactions are.
Okay. So wait, let me just get a little context. If I'm a movie critic, I can't do a formal review on Letterboxd or
No,
Rotten Tomatoes, but I can go on my social media. And,
correct. And
okay.
be like, hey, here's my quick thought.
Okay.
Like,
You
Yeah.
can't get in the nitty-gritty into like the plot of the movie or stuff like that.
right.
What is revoked? Credentials to see early screenings?
Yeah, it will.
Okay.
It will keep you from being able to screen future things.
Okay.
But there's also rumors that they got some friendly journalists to come in and be a part of this
Oh,
event.
Lord.
Remember, there was no access with the stars, not being able to interview them because there's been so much turmoil around the press rollout of this. But this is what's being said so far, and I'm not saying I'm taking this to heart, but here it is. Disney Snow White is being praised as, quote, one of the best live-action remakes in years. A visual feast with show-stopping new musical numbers and, of course, dozens of enchanting animated animals, the screenplay wisely gives its heroine newfound depth, writes Varieties. Catsy Stevens. Snow White is not only one of their best live-action remakes in years, but it's also a film that recaptures the magic of the 1937 movie. Rachel Zegler is Snow White. She delivers such a magical performance, adds another critic. So, take it with a grain of salt. What I've seen so far in the trailers has been god-awful.
So I actually don't think it looks that bad. Other than the dwarves' faces.
Yeah,
The-
that's
tho-
a big part of it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But that's the design they went with. We gotta
What
just
about
eat it.
what we don't have to eat anything. That's what got Snow White into trouble. What about
So true.
the Farquaad, hairstyle that Snow White has? Lord Farquaad.
It's not great, and like I understand the original, but the original wasn't like the Lord Farquaad. I can't get around it. I will say the little animals look cute, but that's about it.
I thought the minecart scene looked pretty good.
Okay,
I appreciate a good minecart scene.
perfectly fine. I mean, I hope that this movie doesn't suck, right? I root for all movies. I
Yeah.
do.
It doesn't sound like it.
No, but this one looks like a stinker. Everyone who's seen anything from this, if you've seen anything from the Snow White movie, tell me I'm not crazy. Tell me you think this looks
The
awful.
dwarves look terrible. I agree with that.
It doesn't intrigue, and I
Tyler, you've
love.
been dunking on this movie for like a year now.
I have been, and then I saw the trailer like a few weeks ago, and I'm like, that actually doesn't look half bad.
Oh,
That minecart scene looks pretty good.
I
Now,
think-
am I saying like I'm going to be championing this movie? No, probably not. Is this movie gonna crush at the box office? No, probably not. Rachel Zegler's doing a pretty good job of making sure that doesn't happen. But
I mean,
it looks decent.
if Mufasa can dominate as long as it had, finally fell out of the top 10, by the way,
wow.
but it still made more than Opus this weekend, which I thought was amazing. I'm like, how does Mufasa make more than Opus opening weekend? Opus must be abysmal. Like nobody went to go see it. It came in 11th, no, 12th or something like opening weekend.
man.
It's awful. Awful take on that one. But anyway,
I don't know. When I saw the Snow White trailer, again, I grew up on the Disney princesses, loved them, and I loved like Cinderella, the live action. I don't know if you guys remember that one, 2015, maybe.
yeah, I think Sir Robert Branagh was the one who directed it.
Maybe. But it was fabulous. Like I loved it. And then Hermione, Emma Watson as Belle in Beauty and the Beast.
Mhm.
So I feel like Disney's gotten it right. And I think of Lilo and Stitch, another live action. And when I compare the two, I watch them back to back. Snow White, it does not intrigue me at all. It doesn't look appetizing to me. Even the scenes with like Gal Gadot as the evil queen, like
Yep.
something is missing.
Well, supposedly it's just the most magical experience ever. So until I hear that from Tyler, I cannot
Yeah.
believe it. Until I hear from Tyler,
I mean, I'll go see it this weekend, but we'll see how it is.
I can't wait. I can't wait for your
Yeah.
review. This is going to be the out of the theater that I'm most hastily going to click on as soon as I see it. I'll be
I
like, ooh,
That's weird because I would feel like you're more likely to go see some of the other movies I'm planning on covering, like Locked, with Bill Skarsgård
Oh,
and Anthony Hopkins.
no. I'm not doing it, so that way I'll be
Oh,
excited.
okay.
To go.
It's not you're not anxious for the information. You're just like, all right, I got to know if this was actually good.
I'm anxious for the information, just not in a way to where I'm like ready to jump head first into like I got to go see this thing.
All right.
Snow White movie looks
It looks like every other Disney live action, in my
no,
opinion.
it looks
Yeah,
way
it
worse.
absolutely does.
Those dwarfs are dead in the eyes, and they just.
So are all the animals in the Lion King.
I disagree with that.
Oh,
I think that the animal design in the Lion King movies have been great. Even Mufasa.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I also
really? Oh, okay.
when it comes
Yeah.
to the plot of Snow White, like I guess they're narratively having to create a new story. So whatever, like the classic, like the anecdote about how this mirrors or whatever they said about the animated movie, I don't know how that's possible considering they have shifted the story completely.
Yeah, it's like, hey, for those that love the film, come out and see it, and for those that hate it because it keeps certain females in
Yeah.
a corner, come see it because this one doesn't. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like this weird.
I don't really know.
What
need
is
the support of
actually
everybody.
different? I mean, I know
I don't
Rachel
know.
Zegler
Huh?
had her little moment when somebody interviewed her,
They're
but the trailer kind of looks the same.
they're
Well,
from what I've heard is that Snow White is saving the kingdom, I guess. She's the
Mm.
hero. The
Oh,
prince is
okay.
no longer the hero.
I don't know.
So I don't know either.
All right, we are going to go now to a meltdown countdown.
Let's do it. I ate my peanuts.
Just yeah. Okay.
Planners. Not sponsored.
Here we go.
Recently featured in The Electric State.
I saw it all week. I saw that promotion for that peanut that
Oh, really?
is played by Robert Downey Jr.
Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson. Robert Downey Jr. actually played the peanut in the commercials, I think, for a while.
I think you're right.
Woody Harrelson plays this, and I don't know. That peanut also looks dead in the eyes.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I actually thought it was advertising for Snow White when I was passing through. I was like, "Oh, get this peanut away from me!" But it was actually for that Netflix show. Okay, Meltdown Countdown. Who are the 5 individuals with Irish heritage that EG finds interesting? So what I was thinking was like 5 people that you would want to sit down and have dinner with or something. But I bet you picked people that are deceased, didn't you?
No, I didn't. No, they're all alive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I didn't approach it that way.
How did you approach it?
Well, I was I was tasked with this list, and I realized I don't know a lot of Irish people. And so then as I'm going through, I realized, like, everyone claims they're Irish,
That is correct.
and that kind of annoyed me because I was like, "Well, I need to get to the nitty-gritty of this." And, so I did go the historical route to see if there was any notable historical figures, and I'm sure there are some, but I wanted this to be a little more entertaining. So I just, came up with 5 Irish people I think are pretty cool.
So hold on really quickly. You picked historical figures, but they're all still living?
No, I didn't take any historical figures
Oh,
because I didn't think
She
they'd be
she was
very
thinking
interesting.
about going that route.
Thinking
I was
about it.
praying about it, but it didn't really land.
You could have went with Conan O'Brien. He's our featured sort
Yeah,
of
Sinead O'Connor.
yeah. Anyways,
deceased.
Oh yeah, that's right. Dang it.
so you could say I would want to have dinner with all these people.
Okay.
Actually, I would, now that you say that.
All right.
All right, number 5. Hosier. Hosier? Hosier. You guys know who that is?
I didn't know he was Irish. I'll be real with you.
He's ranked in the top 10 per an Irish.gov website. I like his music a lot. I really enjoy the video of him singing in the subway, and no one knows it's him. And everyone kind of brushes past him.
I can't wait for EG to be in the subway. Be like, look, everybody, it's Hosier.
Hosier.
It's Hosier.
How do you say his name? Hosier? Hosier?
Hope you would.
I don't know.
They made your list. I mean, you're looking at us.
Because I love their music. His music. It's one of their songs.
This is the best Irishman you could find.
They get better. They get better. That's why he's number 5.
I don't even know if it's multiple people or just
He has a beautiful voice. And I found myself as I went through my Apple catalog, I have a lot of his songs on playlists. It's got a laid back tune. And he sings like an angel. And he stayed relevant.
Are we about to have somebody message that he's not even Irish?
I hope
Is
not.
that about to happen?
I hope not.
I hope that there's some Irish there because that would be a horrible way to start the list.
I'm
Okay.
looking
Okay,
it up.
number 4, y'all will like this one. Cillian Murphy.
Yes.
Yes.
Solid Irishman there.
So I feel like I consume slightly some content that he's in, and I see a lot of his stuff. Peaky Blinders, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just cool to me. I like the vibes. I think that he would be interesting to hear his take on Hollywood, how he got to the point he's at. And I just like how, I don't know, I like the stuff that he's in. I like the vibes.
This is a weird.
Oppenheimer.
If I was to make a list of 5 celebrities that it would shock me if they gained a lot of weight, Cillian Murphy may be number 1 on the
Oh
list.
yeah. I just always envision him as like 110 pounds.
Always been rail thin
Yeah.
throughout his
Yeah.
entire career to the point where in the new zombie movie 28 months later that's coming out in
28
June.
years later.
Sorry, 28 years later. We will never get a months. We got days, weeks, and years. We literally have never had months, and I said months. I apologize. 28 years later. By the way, on my 10 most anticipated list, there's a scene of a decaying sort of zombie corpse that's sort of like falling backwards down a ravine, and everyone's like, "Oh, that looks like Cillian Murphy,"
Wow. That's
and like that shows you how much weight he doesn't have.
Yeah, no, Cillian Murphy had to come out and say, "No, that's not me."
Oh, wow.
Have they-
That's humbling.
Yeah, but anyway, okay, Cillian Murphy there at number 4.
Okay. Number 3,
Yep.
Anne Hathaway. She's apparently Irish.
What?
I have to take her word for it because obviously we're not doing like the ancestry tree on her. But
Wow, the shock of the centuries is number 3 for you
yeah,
because Anne Hathaway's in like 4 of your favorite
Well,
5 movies of all time.
it won't be a shock once you hear the next 2.
I'm trying to think. Anne Hathaway, Top Gun 3, would that work? Probably.
Pinch. Yeah.
Probably. Okay, let's move on.
Number 2, Rory McIlroy. Golfer, just won the Players this morning, and I would love to cover golf. I love golf, and he is a mainstay. He's become kind of the spokesperson for the PGA Tour amidst the live golf dispute. He's had some scandal around him the last couple of, I guess, last year or so. But I would love to have dinner with Rory, talk about his golf game. Just, I don't know. He has a really cool story, and big fan.
That's a good answer. Good guy.
And he won on, yeah.
Questionable,
He's
right?
had some. He's had some failed engagements,
Mhm.
divorce rumors. He does have a daughter named Poppy who's really cute, and him and his wife did call off the divorce recently. So
Okay.
I do think he's a good guy.
I feel like there's always been a little bit of salaciousness around Rory McIlroy.
Yeah, you could say that. I think you either kind of love him or hate him.
Yeah.
Um, he says some things at times that are kind of like, ooh, why'd you say that?
It always felt like he was the next one in line
Hmm.
after Tiger,
Yeah,
and like that seems to have fallen off completely.
he's had some really bad losses. Like the U.S. Open last year was really, really bad. But he kind of, and even though TPC Sawgrass, the Players is not considered a major, it's the fifth major. He did win that this morning, so he's having a good season so far.
Okay, let's get to any
Number
honorable
one.
mentions. Nope, just
Okay,
number
well,
one.
one of my honorable mentions, fictional character Scarlett O'Hara. Gone with the Wind. I have seen the film, very long. I have not read the book. My mom really wants me to, but I was Scarlett O'Hara for Halloween one year
Oh,
back in the
wow,
day. Yeah,
wow.
raised one eyebrow.
I thought you were going to say you had a Scarlett O'Hara Subway birthday party at some
No,
point.
did not,
That
did
did not
not.
happen.
But obviously, that is like a very iconic story, especially in American literature. And that character of Scarlett O'Hara and Rhett was very, it was iconic.
Can you do the one eyebrow thing one more
Yeah.
time? We'll make sure we get you on camera here. Here we go. Got a little bit of The Rock there. The Rock does
Yeah.
have one eyebrow.
Mm, yeah.
Okay,
Anyways,
number one.
Conor McGregor.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
actually thought she was gonna go Conor McGregor.
Number
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. I love the suits. And he would be very interesting to have dinner with. And just like how he has managed his brand from like a public perspective, public persona, this like character he is. It's very interesting to me. And I think he really, has brought in a lot of Irish pride.
Okay. He all of his curse words are spelt differently. Like when he says them, they're all spelled
Yeah.
differently,
Yeah.
but they still have the same like dramatic
Yeah.
effect.
I like the antics,
You do?
the dramatics.
He was in the movie Roadhouse with Jake Gyllenhaal this past year on Amazon. It's streamed there. And he basically plays himself, it feels like in the movie.
Really?
He shows up and he's just Conor McGregor.
Notorious.
And I thought he was pretty captivating in that. He's given some really wild things to do in that movie, but a lot of times he's just walking around completely naked.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I turned that movie off.
It's a great time to deliver that information
Yeah,
there, Tyler.
I was going through. This is like end of last year, and I was trying to like
Well,
run up
yeah.
my list as much as I could, and then I looked at my list and I was like, "There's no way I can get to 150 in the next 2 days." Yeah, I'm not watching the rest of Roadhouse.
There you go.
So that was my list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was kind of eclectic there. I did have to research. A lot of people claim they're Irish, and those were the 5 best I could come up with.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing your list with us. This list should have just been called EG names 5.5 Irish people. That's what it should have been called.
But I had a good reason for them.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Thank you.
I agree. It's just the way it was presented.
Who
Started
did
off
you
with
want her to put it in the
it's
list?
not that she left anybody out. It's just the way it was presented with
Yeah.
like a very minimal amount of confidence made me very happy.
Yeah, yeah. Who would use y'all's favorite Irishman?
I would have had Killian Murphy on my
Okay,
list,
thank you,
DG.
Tyler.
I would have had Conan number one.
I did not consider Conan, but now I will for my next Irish list.
We'll save it because it's not coming around but once a year, and we're already done with this year's.
Yeah, we are.
So we all wore green for a reason. Happy St. Patty's Day to all that celebrate. And great place to celebrate would be MyBookie at mybookie.ag, where you can bet on anything, anywhere, anytime there with mybookie.ag. They got a little bit of a special running here for all of our listeners and viewers. All you got to do is go to mybookie.ag and use promo code next round. You're going to get that 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000 plus that $10 casino chip. Use MyBookie's money there at mybookie.ag with that current sign up bonus. Just make sure you use promo code next round. EG, thank you so much for
You're
being in
so
the
welcome.
St. Patty's Day spirit.
Woo.
Pennant Grace tomorrow, 12:15 Central.
Yeah.
You guys go live. You and Ush.
Me and Ush, me and the commish, we will be live at 12:15. We're gonna have a fun day. We're talking about Spencer Strider's debut back at spring training. We're gonna talk about a little NL East preview and then our favorite Braves uniform. I've not told Ush that yet.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that conversation. Braves fans, make sure you're tuned in there for the pennant race. And Tyler, we will be back again tomorrow with a mystery box.
Woo!
Hopefully, it's supposedly being donated to us by one of our colleagues that has been mentioned within the past 30 seconds. So we'll see if that happens. But you're right. This is about as good as we know. We'll see. Who knows what's going to happen with the mystery box situation, but we'll keep you up to date right here on The Meltdown. Thank you for liking and subscribing. We'll see you again very soon, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern.